All right, what's up guys? I wanted to give you a little bit of a winter update. It's towards the end of February here in Florida, and we've had a little bit of a weird winter, and I really like that whole weather weirdness thing that Jeff Lawton used while I was over there and we made some videos. I mean, he's right. The winters are really weird. We can be 80 one day, 50 the next day. We were just 34 degrees last night. The day before that, the high was in the 80s and the nights were in the 70s. So back and forth, you know, quite often here. And this video is going to be focused on a cover crop that I've been experimenting with now for a couple of years around the farm. And a lot of people, you know, you don't think cover crops in the winter time, but when we get this hot, warm, and that warmness can last a couple of weeks, and we get some rain, all of a sudden we start to get weeds in a lot of places, you know, especially in the paths, in the market garden. And a couple of frosts we did set back my perennial peanut, did set back our sunshine mimosa. So, you know, our perennial ground cover wasn't quite there. So what I've been experimenting with, and you can kind of see maybe over my shoulder, and we're in my lawn part of the yard, understory. I say lawn, I haven't cut this in months. It's over my shoulder here again too. You can see we've used a cover crop of ryegrass, and this is perennial ryegrass. I've been using this stuff for years. Super popular in the golf course industry. They all top dress with it in the wintertime. You know, back when I was a lawn guy, all of my customers, when the lawn went dormant in the wintertime, the bahia went dormant, you know, the floratam, whatever that species of grass they were growing, they wanted to have that little bit of a green, that perk, you know, when they looked outside. So we would cover crop with this ryegrass, and it always gave us great results. Well, now since I've been here on the farm, you know, it gets a little bit of brown here in the wintertime. When we get those rough winters, you know, things get frozen, you know, there's not a lot of life, a lot of things are dormant. So, you know, it definitely adds a blast of color out here in the yard. It's definitely deep green. I had a friend recently tell me that makes microgreens and bread and wheatgrass shots that ryegrass is actually related to wheatgrass. So, you know, kind of funny, you know, something so nutritious is also super high in nitrogen too. So, you know, I mean, you could drink this stuff, animals can fodder on this stuff. This is like fertilizing the yard. So I spent about $200 and I did about, I would say 4 acres. Not completely throughout 4 acres, but sporadically. We did the entire market garden. I did this whole front area out by the greenhouse. There's even a couple of shaded areas that got some of it put down. So I have not cut this once all winter time, and I'll probably cut it here in maybe another week or two. It's starting to get kind of tall, but this is going to add some, you know, natural nitrogen back to the soil. But more importantly, you know, this is the skin of the soil. This is covering the soil and protecting it. This is giving me a natural cover crop. And, you know, just looking across over here on this side, you can kind of see, you know, the ryegrass definitely does not like the warm weather. So that's pure perennial peanut, typically speaking. But we've had, you know, 2-3 frosts this year. You know, when Mexican sunflower all got hit, it just sticks out there on the front. It's already coming back. But, you know, if I didn't have that cover crop down, we'd start to get those indicator species, so-called weeds, that start to show up, you know, and sometimes it's the spiny ones, sometimes it's the nutsedge, depending on what it may be. I notice those weeds change from wintertime to summertime, especially down here in Florida. So this is, you know, just acting as that protection, that cover over the soil here. And you can kind of see out here in the market garden, you know, it tends to get about maybe 8 to 10 inches, 12 inches tall. This section definitely has a little bit of brown to it. It's because it doesn't like the heat. This stuff will just naturally die back when we get over 90 degrees. You can see there's one of those big weeds I was talking about. And I would have so many more of those if we didn't do that cover crop throughout the garden. So it's even sporadic throughout our fig garden. And you can see those sticks that are all in there, you know, the completely leafless ones are the figs. The other ones are the Mexican sunflowers, and they're just coming up from the bottom. Peaches are really confused. They've already, you know, leafed back out. They've been flowering. You know, we're due for another frost here in the beginning of March. They said next week's going to be even colder, so be interesting to see. All the mulberries have already come back out. They're actually flowering and getting ready to set fruit. So really impressed with this ryegrass as a cover crop, though. I will say I'm going to be using this every year. Last year I didn't do it, and that's where I really regretted it. You know, that's where I noticed out there in that market garden, you know, when we had 2-3 weeks of warmness, we got the rain, all of a sudden I had all of these weeds showing up. You know, my perennial peanut was set back. So this has really worked as an awesome cover crop in the wintertime. I would highly suggest it, especially if you're growing animals. You know, if you have cows, if you have goats, no matter what it may be, this is a great cover crop, or this is a great crop to just overseed your pastures with, you know, something for the animals to go out and graze on. So very impressed. I think I purchased this from Site One Landscape Supply. They had a couple of different blends, a couple of different germination rates. I can tell you that the stuff I've gotten from them has definitely worked a lot better than the stuff I've got from Home Depot or Lowe's over the years. I think the year before last I found it at Rural King. A lot of times when you buy that ryegrass, it's going to tell you on the bag the germination rate. I think this was like in the 92 to 94%, and the higher the germination rate, the more expensive. So I used 3 60-pound or 50-pound bags here, which ran, you know, I think it was like just under 70 bucks. That's why I said it cost me about 200 bucks to do this cover crop here. And I know they call it perennial ryegrass, and typically speaking, a perennial, you know, is something that'll live 2 or more years, you know, but I would call this more of an annual ryegrass. I have never seen it set seed. I have never seen it come back up after a cold winter. So excellent cover crop. I could show you a couple of areas around the farm where else we have it kind of just covering that soil. Really beautiful this time of year. Camellias, azaleas all going off. Loquats all setting fruit. We don't have a lot of damage here this year. I've got mild damage on the jackfruits, so this is going to be a really good year for fruit. You guys are going to see a lot of spring updates from me. I have a feeling we're probably going to fruit a jackfruit not in the greenhouse. You heard that, this year. So I've already started to replant passion fruit. I've already started to replant more cold hardy avocados. Definitely not doing too many more push the edge top items, but I'm already starting to replant a little bit early this year. So we're already looking at compost tea. You know, it's already probably mid-March. I'll start my schedule again for that. So really exciting. I'm gonna get you guys some B-roll. I'm gonna get the drone out. Hold on. All right, so wintertime ryegrass. I hope you guys enjoyed this short video. This is definitely a favorite wintertime cover crop for us here on the farm, something I'm gonna be using more regularly going forward. If you guys are in an area where you can go ryegrass, I highly suggest giving it a try. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and do so. Pound that bell to stay notified. Most importantly, pound dirt.